Welcome back to the Shipyard. You guys asked for a how to play of Star Trek Ascendancy, so here it is. This is a small table, so you will have a table much bigger than this. But in general, you will have 3-player planets, and they will start equally spaced. Planets are important for several reasons. A planet tells you how many space lanes can go on it, and then what each planet produces. A planet also tells you the name and if it is hazardous or not. Hazardous planets matter for exploration, and anytime you move a ship into that, you have to roll a die and see if the ship is lost to the hazard or not. Starting planets, they don't matter. They're safe havens. At the start of the game, your board will look something like this. You have 3 production, you have 3 research, and you have 3 culture. You have no additional weapons and no additional shields. There are ways to improve that as you go. You have a building reference sheet, and you have a starting advancement. The Federation's starting advancement is when attempting hegemony, add 1 to your die result. We'll get into what that means. You will also notice on Earth you have a control node, that's this gray thing in the center, and you have a production, a research, and a culture node, as well as 3 starships. So, at the start of the game, you have 1 ascendancy. You are 1/5 of the way to winning already, but so is everybody else. The key to this game is command tokens. Commands represent actions that you can take in this game. You start with 5. There are ways to get more. I'll get into that. With a command, you can move a ship at impulse or warp. You can attempt to culturally take over a developed system that you occupy. That's hegemony. You can start a battle. You can draw more tech cards, or you can commission a starbase or a fleet just for an action. Now let's talk about each of those in a little bit more detail. If you want to move, the first thing you're going to do is roll this space lane die. It's either a 2, a 3, or a 4. Based on what you roll, that tells you which size space lane you need to place. And then you can see here a 2, a 3, and a 4. So let's, for the sake of demonstration here, say that you rolled a 2. You would place that here, and for one action you've gone at impulse. And when you go at impulse, you move 2 spaces, and then you exhaust another command point to move again. That lets you move onto the planet, but oh wait, there's no planet there. So you discover Denham 5, and you place it right in front, and you have now landed on that planet. Going to a planet stops your move, but this is the first time anyone has gone to this planet, so we must draw an exploration card. And we find some Nausicaan pirates waiting for us. Yeah, these guys are not fun. Not fun at all. So, it's a level 5 hazard. For each destroyed ship, lose 1 resource of your choice. Roll to hit with all of your surviving ships. For each hit scored, take 1 production. So, we have 1 ship. We first roll 1 die. And we roll a 6. If you roll equal to or higher than a hazard, the ship is destroyed. So, we lose our ship. And then we would lose a resource of our choice. Let's just say we lose research. Well, that really stinks. Now, let's rewind time and say that we rolled a 2. We then stay there, and we would take a production representing that we defeated the Nausicaan pirates. And now that's basically all we could do on Denham 5. We could move more ships in. We could have moved more ships at once. We could have moved as a fleet, but we didn't do that. Now, we could have encountered a different exploration card. We could have gotten a virgin world where no man has gone before. That would have done nothing. We could have gotten some form of a discovery, perhaps a lost colony. The player to our right places one of their control nodes on the system for free. Well, that's really annoying. The Klingon Empire just took over. But now we can take over. Or perhaps we find a pre-warp civilization, or a warp-capable civilization. Any of those things could happen. Now that was impulse movement. Let's talk about warp. So, we can exhaust a command to put a ship into warp, and when you do that, you set it alongside the system. And now we could spin a command to take this ship out of warp. And we would roll the space lane die, place a 2, and we would come out of warp in this new system. Oh no! It's a phenomenon. On phenomenons, you do not draw exploration cards, but you have to roll. They are hazardous. So this one is a 5 up, and we roll a 1, so we're safe. And because we succeeded, we get a research. And we can put that on one of our advancements if we had any, but we don't. So then it just goes into our pool of resources. So sometimes it's good to get advancements before you go exploring, because you might get phenomenon that give you research immediately. Speaking of research, when you launch projects, you draw 2, and then you look at them, you put them face up, and then you can only have as many active projects, things you're working on, as research nodes that you control on the board. Right now, we control 1 at Earth, so we have to instantly discard one of these 2. So we look and we say, I like Starfleet diplomatic corps more than long-range sensor arrays. So this is discarded and put on the bottom of the deck. And that's how launching projects goes. Once all players have gone through and taken their actions, then you get the regroup phase, or the gather resources. So you would get 1 resource for every node you control. So at this point, Federation would get 1 production, 1 research, and 1 culture. You also refresh all your command tokens, and before you do all of that, you check to see if somebody's won. If they either control 2 other home planets, or if they have 5 ascendancy. If neither of those things are true, then you keep on going. And I should note, the first thing you do on your turn, before doing any commands, is you build. The reason I didn't mention that is because building on the first turn is very limited. Typically, the only thing you're going to do is use your production to build more starships. The second turn building is far more interesting, because on the second turn, the Federation have a ship here at Denham 5, and they can spend a culture and destroy this ship to colonize the sector. And then they have the ability to build 1 culture node and 2 research nodes. And I'll show you Denham 5. That's because it's got 1 yellow and 2 blue nodes on it. Different planets have different housing options, different things that they let you build. So, feds could say, hey, I'm going to spend 2 research and a production to build a research node. And you know what? While I'm at it, I'll spend 2 culture and a production to build a culture node. Now, I should probably spend another production to place a ship, because, well, I have fewer ships. Now they're very low on things to pay for. They could put this research on their espionage, their Starfleet Diplomatic Corps upgrade, advancement, and that would be helpful to them. So, Denham 5 is now a very nice sector, and that will give the Federation an extra culture and research each round. As you're gaining new planets and looking for planets to colonize and take over, you want to look for opportunities to have diversity in your income, but also culture is key. If you can get 4 or 5 culture a turn, you're probably in the position to win. Alright, we've advanced time. A fair bit, actually. And what we're going to do now is show you some of the cooler actions that you can do, some of the more meaningful, the meat of the game actions. So, the Federation are still here hanging out at 1 Ascendancy. It's not that far along in the game, maybe turn 3 or so. And Valicus 6 here is a warp-capable level 1 civilization. Well, the Federation have said, hey, that looks good to us. Let's go have a cultural hegemony over there. So, they got a bunch of ships here on Earth. But it's a pain to move a bunch of ships. So, they're going to spend a command and move them over to the fleet board. And when you do that, you just put all your ships over on the board, and then you've got a nice little fleet marker. Now, in order to have a fleet, you can have 1 fleet per ascendancy you have, and you have to have at least 3 ships in a fleet. Now, we've got a fleet. We're going to spend a command to move at impulse, and another command to move at impulse. And now, since we're over here at Valkis, we are going to attempt to hegemony. What we do is we spend a command and a culture. And then we're going to roll a die. Now we rolled a 5. We add our ascendancy to that. That gives us 6. We add 1 to our die result because of our tech. That's 7. And they're a warp capable at level 1. They have 1 resistance plus their 1 node. So that gives them a defensive 2. If we beat a 2, we take over. So we take over. We place our control there. This warp token goes away because that's just a marker to tell us what it is. And we have succeeded. Now, we have a special rule in play that when we are successful with hegemony, we don't have to spend an extra culture to place the control node. Normally, we would have to spend a culture to place a control node there, but feds don't have to do that. That's hegemony. Pretty simple. Nice, straightforward. Now, let's refresh our command tokens and keep going with this, because we can have a battle. Now, we see Romulus over here, and there's no way Romulus would ever leave it self-defended with just 3 ships, but for the sake of this, they have. They chose poorly. So, we are going to spend a command to move our fleet at impulse, and spend another command to move our fleet at impulse, and oh, wouldn't you know it, we're now adjacent, so we can spend a command to start a battle. Now, the Romulans have first strike, which means they get to roll their dice and do damage before you do. Very annoying thing. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument here, that we have upgraded our shields once. So the Romulans, we caught them with their pants down, let's be frank. They haven't upgraded their weapons. They only hit on a 5 up. Except our shields modify 1, so they only hit on 6 ups. Meaning they only hit on 6s. We hit on 5 ups, and we're good. So the Romulans have 3 ships. They get 3 dice, and then we'll get however many ships we have left. So the Romulans roll, and wow, they rolled 2 6s. So now we get 4 dice, and we kill one of theirs. Well, we keep going. So they get 2 dice, and they don't get a hit. So we get 4, and we got 3 5s. So we're there. Now, whenever you win a battle, you have the option to make a tactical advancement, and that's an impulse move, so you can move up to 2 spots, and we will definitely do that. Since we're there, we will attempt to hegemony, because we can. So we spend a command and our culture, and we roll a die, and we rolled a 1, and we add 1 to that, so that's a 2, plus our ascendancy is 3, but the Romulans have their 1 ascendancy plus 3, and that's 4, so we fail, and when you fail, you just lose the command and the culture. So, well, that sucks. We should have had the diplomatic fleet so we could re-roll our hegemony rolls. But, c'est la vie, we are now occupying Romulus, and that is at least us in a good position. So, there you go. Another cool thing in movement. Systems are not fixed while they only have 1 space lane attached to them. So, Terra Nova over here can be pivoted, and it has a lot of flexibility. So, say there was a Romulan ship out at Terra Nova, and it wanted to spend a command, and it rolled a 4, and it goes, yeah, hey, let's make Capella happen. So then it does just that, and now it's fixed because it's got 2 fixed points. But it could also have said, hey, let's try and see what we can do with this stellar nursery. And that's also not fixed. So, and you can make that happen. There's a lot of options until things are fixed. Your home planets are always fixed. But the freedom in how you connect planets gives you a lot of variety, a lot of wiggle room. And what that's now given the Romulan players is a little safety valve back in, and maybe the Klingons are coming through Capella and they don't want a quick connection, although the Klingons could just try to discover a space lane, but they'd have to get really lucky and get a 2 in order to make that happen. Now, I did mention starbases. You can commission a starbase in any system you control, and when you do, you just put this little starbase token there, and what it does is whenever you're in battle in that system, you get 1 extra die. That's it. Nice thing to do, certainly. It also gives you an extra command token. So that's why you do it. It's 1 command now for an extra command every round in the future. And the extra die is just kind of the icing on the cake. But commands do transfer if somebody takes over that system. They get it from you. So you will go down a command, and they will go up a command. A couple other things to note. When players have space lanes that connect their home systems, such as Earth and Romulus, that enables them to actually bid for turn order. Until that happens, it's random. You just mix up the cards, hand them out. And whoever has one gets to go first, second, third, and so on, if you have more than 3 players once expansions are out. But once there's first contact, that will cause players to bid resources, production, research, culture, on the turn order. How that works is whoever has the 1 card bids first, and then the 2 bid second, and the 3rd bids third. And you can't bid the same number as somebody else except to bid 0. And anybody that bids 0 gets handed a random card. If you haven't made first contact, such as the Klingons there, you just get a random card. So, say the Federation had the 1 and they bid 2 resources. And the Romulans go, I'm okay getting whatever. So they pass. The Federation would get their pick. They say, I want to go second. And then these 2 cards would be mixed up and then passed out randomly. And that dictates the turn order. Also, when you are in the same system or adjacent to an opponent, either ship to ship, ship to control node, and adjacent means like this, not this. This is not adjacent, even though it's on the same space lane. It's not touching. So you have to be able to interact with another player. This would be fine. The Romulans are adjacent to the Federation control node on Deneb. You can offer to make trade agreements. Each faction has a 1, 2, and 3 trade agreement. And you come to terms. You say, hey, I'll give you your 2 for my 2. And when you do that, you get that much extra production every round. They're very powerful. You need to decide when to best utilize them. But that's how trade agreements work. If you ever attack each other, your trade agreement's out the window because obviously you're at war. And while you have a trade agreement with somebody, you can ask permission to go through their systems, presumably to get to the 3rd guy, but also to backstab them. It would be very conniving and very maniacal, but it's happened. The game keeps on going, exploring new planets, drawing exploration cards, fighting, conducting hegemony, control nodes, building, research, on and on and on, until somebody wins. And how you balance your production, your research, your culture, how you upgrade ships, how you best use your commands, that is all up to you. But that's going to make the difference between winning and losing. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. I believe I've gotten all the rules right, at least to the best of my knowledge. If there's anything that I've missed, please let me know. If there's any rule mistakes, also please let me know. And if you have any further questions, leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer. Hopefully this serves as a great instructional tool, something that you can use to learn how to play, to show your friends how to play, and look forward to more of these as more expansions come out, because I want to show off the good of each expansion and the rule changes that they have. So, until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care, guys.